All right. Monday, July the 27th, Raw Women's Championship match. Asuka versus Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks wins the match by count out. So Asuka loses the Raw Women's title. Good match. Hell of a match. These women work well together. They make magic. They make beautiful music together. But WWE is really sticking like it's like making a wonderful dinner, like a wonderful Thanksgiving Day dinner, and then somebody just pulls their dick out, like right in the middle of like Thanksgiving Day dinner, like right during prayer. Somebody just whips their penis out because that's kind of how the finishes go in the WWE. Because am I supposed to believe that Kairi Sane and Asuka were fighting? Well, Kairi Sane and Bayley were fighting for the entire 20 minutes that Sasha Banks and Asuka were wrestling that, or am I supposed to believe that Kairi Sane and Bayley were away from each other for all this time and they just happened to catch up with each other at this exact critical moment? That type of shit is stupid. I'm okay with the count out. I'm even all right with that. I just don't like how they did it. Okay, the story of why they did it made sense. Kairi Sane has a history of concussions and head injuries. Bayley is physically bigger than Kyrie. They treat Kyrie like a crash dummy. She's a punching bag because she's 4'6" or some shit, 28 pounds. And WWE just does that with people who are small. They take small people and they throw them around. That's what wrestling is. You know, it's not like All Elite where, you know, you could be 5 feet tall and somehow still physically competitive with a guy who's 6 feet. In the WWE, if you're a 5 foot nothing, they're going to treat you like you're a 5 foot nothing. And it makes sense because it gives you a natural sympathy. And that's what you want. You want to get that sympathy out because the sympathy is what builds character. But didn't exactly happen that way in this predicament. Because Kyrie didn't go out like a small fiery baby face. She went out basically crying for Asuka. Asuka, help me. And as she was physically incapable of stopping Bayley from doing whatever she wanted. Now, this is of course a week, after Kairi Sane pinned Bayley. So there's that story too, right? Like Bayley is kind of embarrassed that Kairi Sane. So it's kind of a double fold thing, right? Bayley was embarrassed by Kairi Sane because she got pinned by Kairi Sane the week before. She knows Kairi Sane has a history of head injury, so she's slamming her head against this metal sheet, this metal door. And even though it's not like a thick, heavy metal door, but it's metallic enough to make noise and give you the illusion that something bad could happen to Kairi. So it makes sense. I just don't like that 20 minutes into the match this happens. Because again, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to believe Kairi and Bayley were doing all this time? What am I supposed to believe that they were doing simply all this time? Am I supposed to believe they were back there playing patty cake? Why did somebody put it on the screen? Why was that up on the screen? I don't know. Like those types of things are logic problems. You could have done something the same exact finish, but did it in a way that made sense. Where Sasha Banks is having a hard time beating Asuka, so Bayley decides to help. And she does so by attacking Kairi Sane and slamming her head against the ring steps or something like that. And, Asuka is outside the ring trying to get doctors or whatever to show up. And while she's waving for doctors to come in, she gets counted out. Similar to the Jose Lothario Shawn Michaels finish from the Survivor Series 1996. And, it would have been just fine. Like, I get that they wanted to take Asuka as far away as possible. So she couldn't make it back. And they also did a story where she was, Sasha Banks was weakening her legs. So it made sense that, Asuka with weakened legs wouldn't be able to run back and make the 10 count. I just don't think that it was presented in the right way. So now that I talked about the match, let's talk about the concept of putting another belt with Bayley and Sasha Banks. I think they're fucking annoying. And they're not annoying in a good way anymore. Like, there's good annoying. Like the Miz is good annoying, and then there's bad annoying. And this is where, Bayley and Sasha Banks have entered into bad annoying. And I mean, like, it's just too much. Okay? It's too much. They own all three brands. Or at least, and they have so much time. It's not like they just appear and do their little thing and leave. they're on commentary during matches talking. They're they have commentary before their matches. It's so much. It's overwhelming. Okay, it's not heel heat at this point. It is absolutely overwhelming. And I get the concept of they want to do the 2 woman power trip. So they're doing essentially the Triple H Stone Cold Steve Austin storyline, where Triple H was the Intercontinental Champion and the Tag Team Champion, and Steve Austin was the WWF Champion and the Tag Team Champion. And I get that. And they're trying to kick the can down the road on this Bayley and Sasha Banks breakup because it's not the right time to do it. And I will agree that it's not the right time to do it. There's no paying audience. Even if they do a show at SummerSlam, it probably won't be a paying audience. It'll probably be fans, that the people that they can test, friends and stuff like that. Probably at some outdoor thing. I get that you want to wait, and there are ways to keep it fresh, keep them doing what they're doing, and but I don't like what they're doing. That's the problem. Like, I don't mind the idea of they're going to break up eventually. I don't mind that, but I do mind the fact that they're going to be on TV all the time for the next month, going on and on and on about the same shit they've already been going on and on and on about. Like, there's going to be nothing different. To make this interesting, what they could do, what they won't do, because they ain't got the balls to fucking do it, is to take the fucking SmackDown belt off Bayley. Now, if they do that, now you've piqued my interest. Now, of course, we already know how they could do it. Nikki Cross already has a partner in Alexa Bliss. Maybe Alexa Bliss and Bayley get into, maybe Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks get into it. And then you have Asuka sneak in and kick Bayley in the back of the head or something like that. Nikki Cross pins Bayley and wins the SmackDown title, because they will be having a SmackDown Championship match this Friday. And you can make Nikki Cross the champion, sort of put a nice little cherry on the top of her push that she's been having with Alexa Bliss all this time. She can graduate to a higher level. You could probably have Alexa Bliss turn on her down the line, do something fun with that. And now you've got Sasha Banks with a title, Bayley with no title. And now you can build some tension there. And maybe that's what you do. And I'm cool with that. But they don't have the guts to do that. I'm going to challenge them to take the title off Bayley, to take them up to the highest point, because they're at the highest point right now, but heels can't stay at the highest point forever. Nobody can. You have to eventually begin the descent. And I think the descent should start Friday on SmackDown, whatever the date is. Friday the 30th, maybe? Friday the 30th or 31st. Start their descent. Put the title on Nikki Cross. So, obviously, Asuka and Sasha Banks are not done. They're going to have another match. But what kind of match should they have? Because it can't be a standard match. So, I've broken it down to 3 options. Because Bayley is bound to try to interfere, have a cage match. They could tell this lie about cage matches going to stop the interference, because we know that never happens. People still interfere in cage matches. They just do. Cage matches don't serve a purpose. You could do, I think, a more vicious type of match, a submission match maybe, where you can get a definitive winner, and you have Asuka, Sasha Banks in a submission match at SummerSlam. That's a good main event match. I would love that. It's definitive. Asuka can come back all fiery and angry. They can hit each other with weapons and all that type of stuff. You have Asuka versus 2 people because Kyrie is gone. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But I think those are my 2 options. A ladder match is not vicious enough. They only do Hell in a Cell matches during Hell in a Cell season. So, maybe they could break the rules and have Asuka versus Sasha Banks Hell in a Cell. If they were to be able to do that, I would love that. If they could break the rules and do Kyrie, Asuka, and Bayley, Asuka, and Sasha Banks, Jesus Christ, there's too many players in this game. If they could do Asuka and Sasha Banks in a Hell in a Cell match, that would be fine. I think that would be cool. But they're probably just going to say steel cage match or last woman standing or something non-definitive. It needs to be something where Asuka definitively beats Sasha Banks once and fucking for all, because the idea of Asuka being the unofficial fifth horsewoman, where she's essentially the iron that sharpens all the other 4 horsewomen, where she's not promoted to the same degree that they are, but she has more accomplishments than most of them. Asuka's won every title in the company, and that's something most women. Sasha Banks hadn't done it yet. Sasha Banks has not won the SmackDown title yet. So, or well, she haven't won the NXT UK title but those things are not they're out of reach. They're not available. So, but for Asuka to be in that position, she's not. They don't see her as being a superstar that you could send to do media and do all that stuff because she's Japanese and she doesn't speak good English. So can you send Asuka to do the Today Show? No. Even though she's brilliant, she's an entrepreneur. Asuka pretty much wrestles for fun. Like if wrestling disappeared tomorrow, Asuka would be fine. But she's older. She's far more advanced as far as psychology and in-ring concern. She's basically a high-level sensei compared to all the other women. But they don't treat her as that way, because Asuka doesn't really get, other than some of the Kabuki Warriors tag team wins and the one victory where she beat Becky Lynch clean as a whistle at the Royal Rumble, which was, I think, Royal Rumble 2018. Asuka does not have that many clean wins over the Four Horsewomen. Like, she's beaten every other woman in the division, no problem. But when it comes to Sasha Banks or Charlotte or Becky, she gets fits. She can't beat them for some reason, and that's because of the way the company books her. And I don't like to put the heat on the book on the office all the time, because I think that there's too many commentators who do that. They just say, "Oh, they don't book her to do that." It's like we know that they don't book her to do that, but I'm talking about it from a character perspective. That there's some reason why Asuka is more advanced than them, and she's always seen as being a bigger, sometimes a very competent threat, but she doesn't get that push where she can just go in there and beat Charlotte, and then that's it. For some reason, there has to be all 100 fucking gimmicks for her to beat Charlotte. It's stupid. That's fucking stupid. Like, why can't she just beat fucking Sasha Banks? Like, I don't see why that. You could have had the same rematch, but Asuka won the first time. It's silly that we just kind of do this to Asuka all the time, where she's not treated like them, even though she's got more recognition. She's in some ways pushed a little bit harder, especially when she was in NXT. She was pushed harder than all of them, but they were already gone. So it was just Asuka beating up on everybody who wasn't a Four Horsewoman, and she pretty much started to do the same thing on the main roster. If you weren't a Four Horsewoman, Asuka would eat you alive. But if you were, well, you might get a win or two before she actually beats you, which is kind of silly. That's silly. But let's talk also about because I don't want to give this its own space, but this is Kairi Sane's last night. I've said all I had. Kairi Sane had a really good run. A lot of people are upset that this is Kairi Sane's last night and that she did not get the look that they expected her to get, that they think that she deserves. And when you look at Kairi Sane's career, she had a good 3-year run. I'm pretty sure Kairi Sane came into WWE in 2017. She won the Mae Young Classic. She won the NXT title. She was a beloved NXT performer. I'm not sure if she won the NXT title once or twice. I didn't look. It's not relevant. But she won the title. She was a long-running tag team champion. She had some pretty cool moments. She did some fun stuff. She was hampered by some injuries. She was hampered by size. She's hampered also by being ESL. English second language for people who don't know. And she still had a good career. Now, I'm kind of miffed we don't get Kairi Sane versus Asuka at SummerSlam. But, who knows? When the pandemic is over, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, a year and a half, maybe we do get Kairi Sane versus Asuka in a match on a pay-per-view, and that would be fun. And I think that would be fine. I'm not really thirsting for the match right now. I would have liked it for Kairi to have at least one major title shot, especially since she pinned Bayley. It would have been nice for her to have at least one major title shot before she left. And it's unfortunate that we didn't get that. That fucking sucks. Ultimately, I don't mind the feud. I think that the Asuka Sasha Banks feud is not bad. It's good. People who are saying that they give up on WWE, they're frustrated because again, everybody sees the bias towards the four horsewomen. Everybody sees it. That, Triple H and his girls, they get whatever they want. And they see Asuka as not being one of those people. Even one of those, but Asuka is one of those. Asuka is one of Triple H's girls. It's just there's levels to this shit where Asuka is like the baby sister compared to everyone else. If Paige was still around, maybe Asuka would probably really be getting screwed because Paige is, the eldest of all of the people that Triple H kind of took care of. But ultimately, yeah, everybody sees the bias. It is what it is. That is part of the sympathy towards characters that knowing that the office is kind of all in on Bayley and Sasha Banks and this 2-woman power trip and them being annoying and getting on everybody's nerves. And yes, a hero needs to rise to overthrow them. Yes, it would be more interesting if it was a new hero and not Asuka. It would be more interesting if it was Bianca Belair or something like that. But I mean, I'm not writing this stuff, but Asuka will do. Asuka is a credible. Again, she's credible enough that you can see Asuka fighting off Bayley and Sasha Banks by herself, and she can do it. And I'm not going to complain about it because I'm a big Asuka fan. Also a big fan of Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks deserved a title run. She came back super fucking hot. They didn't give her the title when she wrestled Becky Lynch, which was a fucking mistake. I don't care what anybody has to say. Sasha Banks should have won the title, at least at Clash of Champions in 2019. And then could have dropped the belt maybe even a couple of weeks later at Hell in a Cell. She had to win the title, and it's been long overdue. But ultimately, I just don't like how they did it. I don't like the setup. The booking, the match itself was beautiful. But again, it was shit booking at the end. It was a shit finish. Whoever came up with the finish need to be fired, man. The finish didn't make any sense. Like, you have to explain to me why Kairi Sane and Bayley were back there for so long without them fighting. There was no cutaways to them fighting. We just saw them run away, and then next thing we know, they're fighting, and Bayley is killing Kairi Sane. She's like attempting murdering her. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. What were they doing for the other 15 to 20 minutes? What were they doing? But whatever. I'm not upset that Sasha Banks won the title. I'm sorry if you are, but I'm frustrated by it, yes, because again, it is biased, it is unfair, it is stupid because Sasha Banks didn't need the title. But I'm not angry. I'm not angry because I'm a fan of Sasha Banks and she does great work. I'm not going to be mad a great worker got a title. And that's just silly. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel. Like, share, and subscribe. The 2-woman power trip is on. I'm over it.